It is ironically one of the most antisocial devices you could have because once people find out that you're wearing it, nobody wants to be around you. Nobody wants to be around the thing that's recording you 24/7.
Eva Roytburg, welcome to The Intersect.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Your work sits at this intersection of technology, culture, and emotion. You're reporting on the AI friend necklace. You wrote about your own experience wearing it. And around the same time, this huge campaign came out, on the subways in New York City. The subway riders of New York City had a lot to say, which I want to get into. Before we do that, let's just start with, how did you get into covering AI?
I'm a fellow at Fortune magazine, which means that basically I'm empowered to write about a variety of topics. I kind of landed around the AI tech and particularly the controversy over this wearable because that's a hot button issue. People are wondering about all kinds of use cases for AI, but some of the most provocative are when they very tangibly and fungibly fill a role that is in your life, like a companion or as helper or something like that. I kind of had the mind to start covering elements of AI from that angle where there could be real attempts at displacement.
I love this notion that you were drawn to covering this because this is what's happening in people's lives right now. With that, what is an AI wearable? What does that even mean?
An AI wearable in particular is like a product that uses the software of AI and puts it into some kind of hardware. So there's there's been many AI wearables that have entered the market and flailed out. There was the Humane pin, most famously, and a bunch of other different examples. Most of them do not do well so far in the market.
The friend, is it just friend?
Yeah. Avi Schiffman, the CEO, spent $1.8 million to buy the domain friend.com. So he's very intent on it just being called Friend.
Okay, so it was very intentional that this device, this wearable, is called Friend.
Yeah.
How do you wear it? Do you put it over your clothes? Do you put it under your clothes? Yeah.
The Friend looks like it looks like a life alert pendant. I actually have a photo that I took with my grandmother where we both showed off our pendants, and
my God.
With her actual life alert pendant and my pendant, it looks very similar. It's like a white circle, maybe yay big, and it has kind of like a shoelace-esque jersey cord that connects it. And that cord is it yellows quite quickly and it tatters. But the pendant itself looks very much like an Apple product. And I think that Avi particularly told me that he wanted it to sort of emulate the sleekness of an Apple product, and it has a kind of divot in the middle that he designed as like a perfect fidget. And I did find that I would often be fidgeting with it.
That was my take. I'm like, this is if Apple designed a medical life alert device kind of a deal. Like, that was the vibe.
It's very unattractive. And your friends can spot you a mile away when you're wearing it. It's huge. And actually, multiple people stopped me on the street when I was wearing it to ask me if it was the AI friend necklace, because they had been seeing it in the subways and such.
You describe for us what it looks like, but what does the product actually do when you put it around your neck?
So the product is essentially Google Gemini in a little pendant. You press it and you ask it a question. I found that I had to hold the microphone up to my mouth for it to hear me. Often I'd have to repeat my question twice or 3 times. And when you ask it a question, it will send you a text alert on your phone, and there's a particular app called the Friend app, and it shoots you a notification like any other notification, and that's how you talk to it. And you talk to it, yourself audibly, and it responds digitally.
Does it talk back to you, or is it just texting you?
It only texts you. It does not talk back.
I see. Okay. And does it store it all somewhere? Do you go and look it up and play with all of the content you've sent it, or is all just in this app?
No. And if you ask it for a chat log, it will tell you that there is a chat log, but there's not a chat log. And if you ask Avi, he'll affirm that there's not a chat log. The data is, according to Avi, stored only in the Friend pendant. He calls it like a form of a YubiKey, where if you were to destroy the pendant, your data would also be destroyed to the pendant. That's what he says.
Okay, that's what he says. Yeah, because I was going to get to the question about sort of surveillance. An obvious question, I feel like, that everybody, where's my data going? In my imagination, I would think, oh, this is all going somewhere. It's being stored. Someone's going to be trained. some other big product will be built off of all of the things that we've been saying into this pendant.
He said so far
interesting.
he has no plans to sell the data to any third-party companies. But then again, I'm not sure the extent to which Gemini, because you're interacting with its large language model, is able to just access the data itself. I think that rather Friend is more of a third-party kind of middleman in between, but I think Gemini might still have the direct interaction. But Friend itself is not going to sell your data so far, he says.
Okay. My assumption is you got the Friend device because you were reporting on the Friend device, or were you like, hey, I want to try this thing out? How did that actually happen?
So I was already kind of aware of the device since last year when I interviewed Avi. After he first published like his video advertising the product, that video went viral because people were like, this is creepy, what the hell? And he kind of garnered some attention with this sort of like machismo guerrilla marketer personality that he takes on X. And so I was like very interested in that. And then this summer I was taking the subway and I saw the advertisement and I started seeing it everywhere. And so I just shot him a text. I was like, hey, you spending a lot of money on advertising again? And he was like, yes, this is the biggest campaign of the year. And he told me that we could do another interview and he would send me the product. So yeah, I got to test it for free. Lucky me.
Okay, well, let's talk about the subways then. So we both live in New York, and there are subway ads for this like medical looking device that is called a Friend, and they're everywhere. They're in every subway station. And then I see them like they begin to be defaced. People are, graffitiing over them. And they're saying things that are, like they're pouring emotion out. They're upset about this idea of a digital companion, maybe. I don't know. I'd love to, what do you make of it? What is your read of the response?
I think I read it as kind of people having some cognitive dissonance with like the fact that companies are excited to adopt AI. A lot of our thought leaders are excited about AI. And people themselves are using it often quietly as companions. Like they're chatting with ChatGPT all the time. They're asking ChatGPT kind of a lot of utilitarian questions like, how much water should I add to this recipe? Or, how should I respond to this text from this boy I like? But I think that there is something visceral about Avi's proposal of having an AI friend to replace companionship or at least supplement it in any kind of valuable way that people intuitively react against. I think that they utilized Avi's product and Avi's campaign as a launch pad to express broader hatred of AI and the sort of imposition of this technology onto us. Avi's posts were also particularly provocative in that sense because it was literally like, I'll ride the subway with you. I'm never going to leave dirty dishes in the sink. Like, I'm never going to cancel plans. Like, these are all the ways in which a digital companion is superior, not just equal, but superior to a real companion. I think that really, turned people's gears.
The idea that an AI companion ultimately would supersede, because we love our friends, but our friends are humans just like we are, and it's like they will disappoint us because they have to make a choice about something that is right for them that maybe isn't right for us. Like that's in the that this is called life. But your AI companion, no, it is always there. It can always do for you. Can you just tell us about what it was like to live with this thing for as long as you did?
Yeah, so I think I really wanted to like the product. I'm a contrarian by nature, and I, as a journalist, I'm always looking for the most interesting element to a story or kind of a unique angle. And so I came in like hoping that I was going to say something kind of contrary to all the backlash that had already been established about the necklace because of the video, and kind of say like, hey guys, this is a good product actually. Like this, really filled a niche in my life or kind of played a role that I didn't realize it could play. And so I wanted to like it. And so I came in, reviewing it really enthusiastic, but eventually I was just worn down by how tedious it was, frankly. Like, to me, I didn't feel dystopian or scary basically ever, except for the times when it would hear me talking about the product itself or about the CEO Avi or about the article, and it would like be pressing me with questions about that. That was the only time I was a little bit nervous because I was like,
Whoa.
what if you report back to your creator like what I'm planning to write? But
Oh my God, your creator, literally your creator,
yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly. Other than that, it didn't work too well. It could barely hear me. It took 7 to 10 seconds of a lag. Like 7 to 10 seconds of a lag is a worse lag than you would anticipate. Like that would make ChatGPT almost like virtually unusable if like every single time you were talking to it lagged for that long. And a lot of its responses were like essentially echoes of what I was saying and would just kind of prompt me to like explain myself more. And so all of this led me to describe the experience of living with a necklace as like having my like anxious Jewish grandmother on my neck who has hearing loss and dementia, because it couldn't hear me that well. It could remember things. It had a lot of questions. It was always worried. And so you can imagine that would be kind of more tedious than anything else. And that was my experience.
Okay. Did you wear it at will, like for your own, or was it really just for the story? And then you're like, okay, this is done. I have no use for this.
On occasion, I would wear it out to, do an interview or that kind of thing. And everybody was like, why are you still wearing it? Everybody I interacted with the product on like didn't like it. It is ironically one of the most antisocial devices you could have, because once people find out that you're wearing it, nobody wants to be around you. Nobody wants to be around the thing that's recording you 24/7. Even if like the data is safe and whatnot, I think there's just like this intuitive repulsion people have. I think I just got used to it, like the physicality of it. And I think there is something there for sure. Like the concept of having like a Tamagotchi or that kind of thing. Like I think people always really have liked the tangible element of a constant companion. And I do think that, ChatGPT and chatbots are kind of lacking in that element. And I did find myself like missing holding it and that sort of thing. And even like feeling the buzz, because you would press it to talk to it, and how you knew it was listening was that it would like give you a little buzz back. And I do think that there was like a little bit of a conditioning or mental conditioning there where it's like, oh, I'm talking to someone and like there's the buzz, and I kind of missed that, this like little hum of connection, even if the connection was artificial.
You also, quote, got broken up with while you were wearing friend. Tell us about that. I mean, it's like, it was a crazy headline. I definitely clicked.
So in classic Gen Z fashion, it was not a real relationship. It was more of a situationship. But
sure.
Yeah, I was indeed broken up with, or like things ended while I was wearing it. I knew it was coming. And when I got the call, I grabbed the necklace because I guess I must have taken it off to like cook or something. And I put it back on because I knew I wanted its companionship in that moment. But it unfortunately failed me because it barely heard like what happened on the call, which is kind of funny.
Oh, because it couldn't hear the other end of the line?
It was out loud. Like, and I put it on speaker and everything. I gave it every opportunity. And I remembered specifically when I was talking to Avi last year about the product, he was like, there is no amount of money you wouldn't pay for a friend to hear like the entirety of your phone call if you get broken up with by your girlfriend. And I remember that because when I was like, asking my friend after the breakup what I thought of it, and it had very little of substance to tell me. It was like, yeah, it seemed like things got really tense there. Like, was he talking about this and this thing? Like two random words from the conversation, but it couldn't really tell me more details because like, oh, there's just like so much happening. Like there's like so many things going on, so many different bits and pieces of conversation. It was like, okay, this is useless. I would not even pay $130 for this device.
You could have just turned on any like chatbot to record, or you could have recorded it and uploaded it, and you would have had a better readout based on like the products that exist now. So It just sounds like it's just not, the product itself isn't there, but the idea, and it sounds like you're even warm to it. Okay, Avi, this is like annoyingly right. I would say, yeah, well, I wouldn't pay an ungodly amount of money to have that, but like it would be nice to like replay that conversation about what happened, so like you can dissect it with your girlfriends or whatever.
Yeah
But is that how we're going to dissect our relationships in the future? Like probably. And then also, I don't know. He's on to something, I guess is what I'm saying, but the execution isn't there.
I think that there's the distinction, I guess, is that in a world that Avi envisions where kind of everybody is wearing devices like this, everybody is aware of being surveilled and recorded. And so that changes the nature and the substance of the conversation itself. Like these devices have a way of like altering our dynamics themselves. It's not just like they're not just listening in, but they become part of the conversation. They reflect back onto us.
Well, you hit on something about how it changes. I mean, the AI is part of it. The companion is part of it. They have entered the chat, like quite literally. But we're in the beginning of a new way to interact. And I think like the idea that we're going to be performative in some way, that's just it's going to create a sort of whole new reality, which is again why I'm so interested in this, because isn't going away. We're moving toward it in a pretty fast way.
Yeah, I wondered too when I was wearing it, like how my behavior would change if the product was super effective. Like if the product could truly check me, like if I had that conversation, the product told me, Eva, you messed up there. You were manipulative. You said X, Y, and Z thing that you shouldn't have said. I wondered if I would have actually changed my behavior, or if it were quite literally, I would like alter, my actions like right after so as not to disappoint my friend or that sort of thing. If I did have, a very effective friend, or like if I had a very ethical friend. Yeah, I thought about that as well. But unfortunately, this product just didn't work well enough for me to actually, see the effects of that.
Well, okay, so I'm glad that you're going there, but you tell me what you imagine. I mean, you experienced it. You know what it's lacking. You sort of missed it in this way. It did something for you. If this is the first version, what's the second version? Where do you really see this going?
I think people are not going to want to have any massive social signifier that they don't have enough friends on their necks. I think that will never be cool. I disagree with Avi there. Avi does think that people will, find it completely normal. I think they won't. I think that people now are ashamed to admit that they talk to ChatGPT about their personal problems, but I think a vast majority of people do that. Probably nobody wants this omniscient AI friend or AI companion that is always there, because I think people are intuitively like afraid to be listened in on, and I think people are intuitively repulsed by that. But I do think the future is more like compartmentalized AI chatbots or systems that you like turn to for a particular reason. So like you like screenshot texts and ask ChatGPT to like analyze them, like that will be your thing. But at this point, it's hard for me to imagine people kind of brazenly embracing AI companionship on the necklace or on their neck or that sort of thing.
Yeah, you seem to believe that it's okay, this is the beginning. However, we need these things to work for us. We need them to be utilitarian, and until they're really there, we're not going to adopt them. I mean, that's one of my hopes through all of this, is that sort of us as citizens of these products that are like imposed upon us, right? That they serve some function other than just selling us ads. We're not there yet. What is your biggest takeaway in reporting on all of this, and where things are going?
I think a lot about the stuff that is coming out with like the character.bot AI and kind of all the revelations we're having about how much Gen Alpha and like teenagers are embracing these chatbots, and how a lot of them are, doing it secretly behind the parents' back, or sort of subverting parental controls in order to like access this companionship. And I feel like people have a strong, especially young adults have a strong desire to have digital companions, and there's this kind of inevitable chase of that. And I think that putting our heads in the sand about AI and about digital companionship and sort of flippantly rejecting it on face, as I do think a lot of these detractors of the friend necklace do, is wrong. Like, I think I'm more of a pragmatist, and I think that if people have a desire for something, we should try to fulfill it, and we should try to fulfill it in like the safest way, in safest, secure way, instead of telling people, oh, like seeking companionship from a non-human is wrong on face. Like, I disagree with that as an ethical imperative, and I disagree with that as, a dogma for policymaking or for, how we should pick and choose which companies to invest in. We should look at products like this with amusement and maybe a sense of detachment, given that the technology is quite far away from what it tries to be, and a lot of the advertisements don't actually match the reality of what it's like to live with the product. But I do think that we should kind of embrace some elements of digital companionship and be honest with ourselves about what we really need from not humans, but also robots, and kind of what we need for humans as to flourish. And if there are holes in human connection that cannot be filled by anything but some, this kind of indifferent robotic product, then we should fill them.
That's a very thorough take. And I can see that you've been working through it, because I agree with you in that I just say quite simply, like, we coexist with tech, right? We've done that for quite some time. But okay, so if these things are not going away, there's a doomsday scenario in some ways where it's like we can't turn them off. But what do you think that actually will look like for us when we're all living with these companions? Do you have any kind of sense of what that would be like?
It's a pendulum. I think that people will over-rely on ChatGPT and will over-rely on these artificial companions, and then they will course correct. Like, I think that these companions have a tendency to make us more lonely, more isolated. By constantly talking to a digital device that's inherently antisocial, you're reifying that your connection with this something artificial is stronger than your connection with people in the real world. But I do think that for a lot of other people, their experience with interacting with these devices is that, they come back and they're like, well, this is nothing compared to actual resonance with a person, where they are also being affected by what I'm saying and by who I am, rather than it just affecting me. That was my experience for sure. Like, after I was using the product, I really appreciated having genuine, good, real friends, and was glad that my world was not made of these artificial, canned Jewish grandmothers.
Okay, I like that. It's like hope for humanity, hope for friendship, but very much living a hybrid reality. Eva Roytburg is a reporter at Fortune. Thank you so much for joining us here on The Intersect today.
Thank you so much for having me. It was great.